Hi everyone, Indez here. If you're watching this video most likely or just started the game and try to figure out how can you do better in the Challenge Rift, or you are a veteran that is hard stuck in Challenge Rift and you want to know all the details, all the tips and the secrets that will be able to put you in the top of the leaderboard when it comes to your class in Challenge Rifts. So today I have prepared Challenge Rift guide where we're gonna go through all the topics that's gonna make a difference for you to understand all the things that gonna push you to the top and get those rewards so then you can go and upgrade your gear. This will be useful, doesn't matter where you are in the game. Since the start of the game you have access to Challenge Rift, so whatever you're gonna learn here today you can then apply until the end game. So with no further ado, let's start with what are Challenge Rifts. So if you go here in West March in the Palace Courtyard, there is this statue right here. It's called the Challenge Rift entrance. This is kind of like a tower mode that you just keep climbing levels and they get harder as you go. So this game mode in the beginning, it is a breeze. You're gonna do it very well. You're not gonna have any problem, but very soon you will start realizing that the ability for you to keep progressing is gonna start stagnating due to your combat rating. So if you see right here, I just beat the level 287. I'm probably gonna be able to beat 288 later on, but if you see, more important, this requires 40,667 combat rating. And as you see, my combat rating is way below the recommended. So if you go inside the Challenge Rift, now you will get a message that is gonna show you that the monster difficulty is very high, so you're gonna take almost 600 more damage and you're gonna deal less 85% damage. So this is where the struggle starts for you to keep progressing, and how can you actually go and do it while you are in this such a big deficit. That's what I'm gonna show you here today. So let's start with the basic of the basics. This mode is highly dependent on your combat rating, so as you keep leveling up, this is not a big issue because you should always be equipping your highest combat rating piece all the time while you're leveling. However, when you get to late game, you're gonna have multiple sets. You're gonna have a set to do open world farming, another for dungeons where you're gonna put all your max damage in DPS that you can, one for PvP, and our high combat rating set, which is the pieces with the highest level, but that a lot of times they actually don't have the best stats. But even if they don't have the right stats, they are still worth to use, because if you are able to push your combat rating like 50, 100, sometimes 200 combat rating just because of these pieces, it will be really worth it, because you most likely, instead of doing less 85% damage, you're gonna do just less 60%, which in theory, you just won 25% damage. So some things that you should have in consideration, it is that if you want and you can, try to keep up your set bonus items. These are very useful, but in this case, for example, I am losing around like 50 combat rating just because I don't have a 2k belt. Well, I used to, but the UX of this game when it comes to the stash is trash, so I salvaged it. Didn't want to farm another one, so I just got one that was good enough and that's it. But as you can see, I want to try to stay with my set bonus just because I'm going to do more damage, and I think overall that will compensate the damage that I'm losing just from using a bit of a lower combat rating item. However, there are times that this cannot happen, so if that's the case, just go and keep all your best pieces, just break all the sets, and then you're gonna find that you're gonna have this huge bump on your combat rating. So for me, as you can see here, I used to have 39,990 something. I have 40,000 and almost 100. So now if we go again into the same level, you guys will see that it's gonna be a huge difference when it comes to the damage that I was doing or receiving, because I just gained 100 combat rate. So if you see here, I'm taking way less damage, but I'm only dealing more 7% damage. And this is what I was trying to say. Sometimes if the increase of damage, in this case 7%, is not high enough to be worth breaking the set, because if I keep the 4 pieces of grace, in the overall damage is gonna be like way more than the 7%. I hope this was not too complicated. Just understand that you just have to calculate the difference if it is worth to break or not your set bonus, because with that you might win or lose DPS. And now we have classes. Well, when it comes to classes, man, we can literally go to the leaderboards just to have an understanding what are the strongest class. So I will say that Barbarian in general for me is not like the greatest class when it comes to clearing the challenge rift, but it's also not the worst. But I remember that when I was a Demon Hunter, I had a much better time. Yeah, we can see here there was a guy that cleared like 294, but most of the wells in this server are actually Tempest. So if you go here to Tempest, yeah, of course, like Unagi, one of the biggest wells in the server with a 297, with a 5 minutes. Maybe he can even push more. Tempest is also like really strong when it comes to these. Necromancer is also a very good class to climb on these. But, you know, like not a lot of people are playing Necromancer. Zader, I think is also not bad, but I feel like it struggles a bit. Monk, well, it's not that bad, like 291. We have here a few Wizards that they are trying to push. I feel like Wizard may be, if not the strongest class to push when it comes to challenge rift, just because like he has so much to see, and then you can change your spec for a single target on the boss, and that's really good. So either way, just try to push with whatever you can. Definitely, there are some advantages and disadvantages for every class, but I'll say that Wizard, Demon Hunter, Tempest, and probably Necromancer will definitely be the easiest one, just because they are not melee. Technically, Tempest it is, but it got so many chills, and now it throws like the bananas and all these things, so it's like a mid-range class, which is gonna help him a lot. So don't sweat it too much, just try to level up with whatever you can and do your best. Then we have the meta builds for this challenge rift mode. In general, the builds that usually they do the best for these, it is, for example, dungeon builds or CC builds. What is CC? Is called crowd control. So for example, in my case, let's try this high level one. I'm using the Ota build with the Icy Axe. So I'm gonna use the Ice Axe to be able to freeze the mobs with these ones. So if you see here, they become all frost, and then I just spam the hammer. So you're gonna be able to keep rotating all the time, but this is like such a strong spec to climb your way to the top as a barbarian, because the mobs will not be able to hit you, and then you just can do all the damage you want. Have in mind, in your class, you are able to immobilize, stun, or just keep them in crowd control while you do the damage. That's really good. For example, we have Demon Hunter. I remember there is like this knockback wind that whenever you put the buff, there's like this wind that just keeps pushing the mobs away from you, and that makes like super easy to kite the pack. I know that Wizards got other multiple ways and shapes and forms to freeze the whole pack. It reminds me whenever like mages, they used to farm with a blizzard in World of Warcraft. It was like super cool, and that's why they were like the faster levelers. So whenever you're looking for a build like this, have in mind that you're probably gonna want to have one build to deal with the elites and the pack mobs, and one spec single target to deal with the boss. But in my case, Barbarian right now, it is really strong, and this spec actually does for both, which is a big plus. And just also a quick tip that you can also do. Every class or most classes, they have some kind of a defensive skill that sometimes it can really help you. For example, Undying Rage is really good for Barbarian. I know that Necromancer has the Bone Armor that it lets you get hit by 5 times. I think also Wizard has some shield. So try to find out maybe a defensive skill that might help you out to just mitigate some damage. But to be honest, when you are at a tippy top with so much combat rating deficit, it won't really matter because you're most likely gonna get one-shotted either way. It's up to you, depends on your state inside the game. Make the right calls, choose the right specs and the right skills for you, and just keep trying. So now let's talk about the gameplay. And now you actually should be playing inside the mode. This is the mode that has a clock. And because it has a clock, you're gonna have to be able to do things fast. And to do things fast, you're gonna have to take risks. But however, there are certain things and certain movements that you can do. For example, grab 2 or 3 packs of mobs at the same time and kill them in one go. Or just keep rotating in circles around them so you don't get hit by the projectiles, which is also key if you want to be able to not get one-shotted. Or for example, whenever you die, you have this little trick that I'm gonna show you from DarthMicroT transaction, also known as DM. This is supposed to be an old trick, but I actually didn't know until I did some proper research while doing this ultimate guide. And that when you are about to reach to the maximum, you're filling up the bar of progression before the bosses spawn, you want to die and select the option to revive at the checkpoint, which is gonna be able to teleport you to the entrance of the dungeon. And now if you kill one of the mobs from the entrance, it's gonna spawn the boss right at the entrance. And why is this important? Because you have 2 reses, reviving on checkpoint and reviving on the spot. But when you revive on the spot, you immediately have this increment of +1 seconds. Then if you die again, it's gonna be like +5. And if you die again, it's gonna be +10. And then +15. And after you keep dying too many times, it's gonna actually be able to make you lose a lot of time, because these bosses are still hard, okay? They are not like easy. You're gonna most likely die, especially if you're doing very, very high deficit. So whenever you teleport here and you do the revive at the checkpoint, I think like is the first 3 deaths, you don't lose any time, because the way they are thinking is that you're gonna go to the spawn and you're still gonna have to lose time to go back to where the boss or the pack of the mobs are. So instead of removing your time, they keep at 0. But of course, after a few kills, they is gonna start incrementing, so you cannot do this infinite loop where you can just like keep dying, keep raising, keep dying, keep raising all the time. No, it doesn't happen that way any longer, but still it is a very cool trick. So now let's talk about set items. In my opinion, any set item, like for example, 4 pieces Graces, 4 pieces Banquets, 4 pieces Vitus, these are great sets. Even the End Winter one, the Frost set, it is really good when it comes to this mode. So have in mind these sets. Try to avoid, for example, Barons, because you cannot apply the 20% increased damage on bosses, otherwise it will be one of the best sets in the game. So, in my opinion, if you had to pick 2 sets as a general rule, 4 pieces Vitus and 4 pieces Grace or Banquets. But of course, this will depend a lot on your class, on the build that you are using. So please make sure that you're using the right set for these before you go inside the Rift. And now we have legendary gems. As you guys can see here, I mainly use a dot build, which means like I do a lot of damage over time. So with bleeds, with poisons, with burning damage. So I can benefit also from my 4 pieces great set. However, this is not the right way to build if you want to go and climb on this mode, because in general, dots are not like the best option for PvE. But because I'm a free-to-play, I can only choose one build. So I use the dot build in PvE just because I'm mainly prioritizing the PvP build, and in PvP, dots are just amazing. So I'll just give a quick tip of gems that you should be looking for. For example, Berserker's Eye, which is gonna increase your damage overall and give you critical damage. So you wanna look for this flat increased damage, which they are extremely good. Now we also have here, of course, Bloodsuck Shade, also gives you 10% flat damage. Then we have here the Fergen's Fang, that's gonna increase our damage by 13%. Then we have the Pain Clasp that is gonna increase 13% of our damage whenever you have a dot on the target. We have have Mother's Lament that is gonna increase our crit. But I also want to give a special notice to this specific gem, Ignis Scorn, which it is extremely nice, especially for challenge rifts when you're killing the packs, because it's gonna give explosions, and the explosion is gonna spread a lot of damage. As you're gonna see in the gameplay footage, massive packs of mobs with like what 30-40 mobs like in one place. So every time you crit, there's gonna be an explosion. Every 6 seconds an explosion that's gonna do massive damage. And when you do explosions, in my case, they also renew the dots, and it is just like so nice to play with. So please try to see what is the right gems for your class so you can do the maximum damage output, because believe me, that boss will be so thick to actually go and kill it at a high death, that if you don't have the damage, man, don't worry about dying. Dying is gonna be the least of your problems, because it gets really tough. So now let's talk about map RNG. And what is this? So if you notice, every time I go in and out of the challenge rift, you will see that the map will change. And why does this matter? Well, because some maps are better than others. Not really because of the packs, but mainly because of the boss fight, where you want to have like some space to kite the boss. So it is not like the one of the worst, but you usually want to go and try to roll for one that is gonna have a lot of space for you to kill the packs of mobs, to go to these multiple groups, stack them in one spot, start killing them all around. And this sometimes it is the most frustrating part, because it can require like a few tries of like going in and going out. And not only we have the RNG of the map, there will also be other RNG when it comes to the bosses. For example, this one, in my opinion, it is the best map, because as you see here, we have open areas that if I want, I can go here, I grab this pack, then I can go here and I'll grab this pack right here, then I go here on top. Okay, there's no pack here, but you see, I'm gonna stack them here, and I'm just gonna try to rotate around them. And this is like the way you want to play. You want to stack them in one spot, and then you just kill them, all of them at the same time. As you can see, Ota is really nice also, because I have like this huge range that I don't need to really be hugging them. So my cleave are hitting the mobs, are freezing them, are doing a lot of damage, that are also doing armor break, and the hammer. Whenever I get the full stacks, it's just like this massive range that, you know, it just makes it look easy to go and just kill all these mobs. But as you see here, these blue mobs, they are super tanky. So one thing, please never kill golden mobs. Gold mobs, they are extremely hard to kill. Let's see if you actually can find one in this dungeon. We have actually here like 2 packs. One with the blue mobs, they have 3.9 million HP. But if I click here on the golden one, it has 12 million. So it has 4 times more HP. And believe me, they are super hard. They take a lot of time. And most of the times, you just don't want to waste this time. You just want to go through the map, try to find all the blue packs, kill all the blue packs together with the other white packs until you summon the boss. It is the fastest way that you can actually go and summon the boss, because the faster you do this mob pack, the more time you're gonna have to actually go and kill the boss. Now that we're speaking about boss tier list, I have here ready for you from Mule, which also is an amazing content creator. He also goes like to very niche topics. While I was searching, I also found this video with a very interesting guide when it comes to the challenge rift, because this was the thing that I was looking for, to show all the bosses and to explain the difficulties that there are between them. So understand that climbing on these challenge rifts, especially if you want to go for like the top ranks, rank 1, 2, or 3, it will require a lot of RNG tries, a lot of like going in and out the challenge rift. Not only that, you're gonna want to be able to kill the packs really fast, and then you will want for these two bosses to spawn because they are literally just the easiest one. The first one is like a lizard that comes like very, very slowly. Then it does like these very basic attacks that you can just stand on the side or on the back of him doing like literally 3 damage. And you have Vekaja, which is like this big giant woman troll that has like this massive mace that just keeps eating the floor, and it's just like so easy to actually go and dodge all the skills, especially for melee. You will most likely be required, depending on the build, to actually go and try to pull for one of these bosses. Then bosses that I also don't mind to go, and so I completely agree with this tier list. It is the serpent guy. It can be annoying, but it's actually not that bad to dodge his skills. This one is the vampire lady. Her skills are very basic. The only annoying thing that sometimes is the golem that she spawns. And from here now, it gets like pretty tough, especially this bottom line here, the sand shaper. Oh my god, like literally they just skip it, okay? Only if you want to keep pushing at a very high deficit. But when you're still above the combat rating, it doesn't matter the boss that you appear, okay? Just go with whatever. You're just gonna smash anything. Just have in mind, whenever you start struggling, try to pull for these top 4. They will definitely be the best choices for you. And now we have clan towers. So this one is very interesting, but if you go here in West March and examine your battle map for your clan, you will be able to see that nowadays each clan can occupy 3 towers, and with these towers they will give you a buff to each clan member of yours. So I just want to talk in specific about these 2 towers, which actually a super coincidence that right now my clan has these, but it is great because I actually can show you very easily. So there's 2 challenge rift towers that are very, very important when it comes to this pushing, which is the combat rating challenge rift tower. Is going to increase inside the challenge rift by 50. And again, it doesn't seem much, but it will make like a 2-3% difference in your damage, which is like a big boost. But the one that usually people like to go and get it is this one. So what does this mean? The number of the Rift Progress Orbs dropped by elite mobs is increased by 2. So if you remember, I just told you, you go around the map and you just want to kill the blue mobs. So in general, they usually drop like 2 or 3, but with this one they will drop like 4 or 5, which is gonna be almost the double of the speed of the clearing, which again, the faster you progress with that bar, with the timer, the more time you're gonna have to kill the boss, because again, the challenge is to kill the boss, it is not to kill the mobs. Now, for the secondaries, this one is very interesting because everyone praises secondaries and everyone knows how secondaries are important in this game to have it, so you can actually go and smash, especially not only in PvP, but like in general in the game. But the reality is that inside Challenge Rift, the deficit is so high that your secondaries are literally useless. So if I go here on my more attributes and I click here, well, my armor penetration, it is 1112 lower than what is expected for these difficulties. So most of the times, especially if you're free to play, you're not gonna have ever this. So don't even bother with the secondaries. This is just like mainly a curiosity that I wanted to bring up to you, because I also didn't know, and I saw on the model guide him talking about this. However, if you are a big whale and if you've been playing the game for a while, you most likely have enough secondaries to go and beat it. So nothing like to go inside the challenge rift level that you want to beat. You just open your character, you check, you click here on armor penetration or armor, and then you see how much you need, how much you're left, and all these things. So now let's speak about curse sets. This one also, it is very dependable on your class. I feel like if you're a melee, you want to go with the tested family and maybe like some lashed, because you're gonna use like the primaries a lot, or you just don't care and you go with your PvP one and you want like a shield that still protects you and use the reflect. in my opinion, this is not like the best choice for here. So I'm using what here, 4 Untitled and 4 Lashed. Ideally, I will definitely go for 6 pieces Death Tested and 2 pieces Lashed. Now let's talk about Reforges. This is usually the set PvE bonus that I went with. However, if I would redo my PvE Reforge set, I would 100% would have gone with this one, because especially for Barbarian, it will be insanely strong. So we have here damage to enemies suffering loss of control. So what it means, whenever they are in any kind of CC, they're gonna get extra damage. So as I show you, because of my spinning axes or the chains or whatever you're using as a barb or as a wizard, most of the times they will be under any loss of control debuff, which will be a huge buff on my damage. But more important than that, also we have damage to demons increase, and this is such a life hack when it comes to DPS in Diablo Immortal, because what we kill in Diablo, we kill demons. Probably 90% of the mobs are demons, and especially when it comes to killing the bosses, most of them are demons. Even though like this 6% and this 5% doesn't look a lot as a single one, you have to understand that we have 8 slots. So with 8 times 6, we are talking about an increase of 48% damage. That's nuts just from this one. But just have in mind also, whenever if you want to go and roll for this Reforge, that this Reforge can go, I think, from like 3 to 6. So as long as you get it, it is fine. Mobilux is a will, and it does like very well. So he's be able to, you know, like mid-max every single stat, which is like that's crazy. Well, if you be able to ever become a will and have like perfect Reforges, your damage is gonna be like psh, blow out of the sky. So now let's speak about one of the most important aspects of this. It is familiars. So in my personal opinion, ideally, you want to go with a familiar that has lingering wounds. And the reason why is because this is going to apply a defense break on the targets. Every time your familiar is going to attack the target, it's going to put this 3 seconds debuff. So basically, you're going to do 16% more damage if you have more or less like this. It goes until like, I think like 37 or 38 maximum. It is just like nuts. The legendary skill with the 200 inside, it can go like actually crazy. However, since I'm a broke boy and I don't have that money, the way I do is actually, instead of using the lingering wounds, I'm using my pet with Savior, because you know what, it gets because I'm melee, this actually saves my life a lot of times from like getting one-shotted, because as you guys can see here, I'm not using any Undying Rage because I'm gonna go like full damage. So instead, the way I apply this armor breaker is by using the skull mode, which is gonna give me an armor break of like 34%. So only in the case if I had a different pet, I will actually switch off the cleave skill, but because I don't, this is what we use. So as a sum up, first, in my opinion, you should try to go with your Savior, because as I said, it gets very hard to actually go and push those higher difficulties. So these will be saving your ass a lot of times. Second, you can go with this skill as a second option, Lingering Wounds, but if you want like a godly pet, you just get one with Savior and Lingering Wounds, and that's like the PvE dream, in my opinion. However, there is this little trick that a lot of people don't know, especially beginners. Most likely if you're a veteran, you already know this. When it comes to the traits, you have the normal traits that you actually should try to stack. The way you do is like you unlock these bond slots, they will cost you gold, and then you just put pets that have these traits on them, and you try to get one of each just to unlock all of these ones. So for example, this one gives crit, this one's gonna give skill damage, then we're gonna have damage to players, etc, etc. However, there are 3 that are like these considered special skills. One is going to give you the option to salvage your items remotely. This one is going to identify. I think it sucks, I rarely use it. But this one, I always keep one pet with me just for Challenge Rift. It's called the Pack Mule. So what does it do? Well, it allows to remotely change your builds. So if I go here and I switch my loadout, these are all my builds, and I can literally just go, and if I want to go with the lace break, I just go here and I switch, and now I just switch my gear. If you go check all my items, they changed. So why is this important? The main reason it is because you also can use this feature inside Challenge Rift. So remember me saying in the beginning of the video that you will most likely need 2 builds. So one to kill the packs and the other for the boss. Well, this is how it works. So let's imagine that in an optimal way, I want to go first with my auto build, which is like this one for the Challenge Rift. And I'm there, I kill everything, okay? This bar is filled up, so the bar is completely filled up. I'm good. And now the boss is about to spawn, so I run a bit away. I click here, I click switch loadout, and I quickly click lace breaker because it's my best single target damage build. I transfer, and now all of a sudden I'm gonna go to the boss and I'm gonna kill him with the lace breaker. So this is incredible. This is the way that, for example, especially like in mages, it is very useful, and in general, most likely in every class. Of course, there are like some builds that they are good in both. For example, Ota, I can kill the mobs and I can kill the boss with it, so I don't really need to change. But in general, this trick will actually make you progress so much further just because now we have access to 2 builds. If you don't have this pet, well, it is not a big deal. I'm not gonna say that you must have this pet unless you were to really try hard to go and climb. I sincerely use it a few times, but whenever I didn't, you know what, I just reached to whatever I could do and then I will stop. But in case you're curious, you can always go to the market, all familiars, then you go here to the filter in the bottom, you put the traits, and then you just scroll down, you go pack Mule, and they are like pretty cheap. Look at this, like 3,000 plants. You can come here, you can buy one and just have one just for these occasions. So it's up to you. You don't have to spend this plant, but if you want to just keep progressing, go for it. So now very quickly about the runes. I just want to highlight very quickly one rune that it literally makes the whole difference when it comes to farming this mode or any open world farming, which is Seared. The chest golden rune, I think like this is one of the cheapest ones, so if you don't have it, you can literally buy it from the auction house. But just read this. Extended family substat affix. Monsters have a 9% chance to explode on that, dealing 100% of the damage to nearby enemies. This is freaking nuts because in the beginning it is hard to start killing that, but once you kill 1 or 2, then they're gonna say pop, 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 and all of a sudden you're gonna kill the whole pack. And more important, you're gonna kill the elite packs faster because the white mobs are gonna explode. They're gonna do damage to your elite packs, so that's a good thing. But also it works on the boss damage. So each boss, most of them, they gonna summon like these ads, and the ads will be around the boss while you're damaging the boss, and you're also gonna do AoE damage to them. So if you kill them and they explode, they're gonna do a lot of extra damage to the boss. So this is really a good rune to consider, to just have it for everything you're gonna do. I love it, man. It is one of my favorites. You can also come with an item that's gonna have like a substat here that's gonna also be the extended. You can farm it in the Abyssal and Ereban, but in general, if you have this rune, that's gonna be more than enough. Now for the Paragon. This one is also very quick. All you want to go is on your Paragon, click on the slinger right here and just increase your damage. There are multiple ways to do this. This one is pretty good because you're gonna deal a lot of damage to every mob around you. Also, some people go, for example, with something like this. If you're a range class, you can increase your crit, or you can even switch, like for example, for these two. Well, now it's up to you, depends on your class. You can do these multiple changes, but if you want like a general good one, usually these 5 on top, they will just do the job. And of course, for the legendary skill, all you want, it is the damage, so just go with the lightning rod. It is the best option. These two, well, for now, is just a snooze. Nobody cares about them. So we are almost at the end. We only have 2 more, and these 2 are also going to be quick. Let's talk about the Helliquary. Demonic remains are one of the most important things that you can actually have for this mode. So in general, if you are still starting the game and you're leveling up until the end game, you want to go always with the ones that give you the highest combat rating. Please don't follow me with just like willpower and fortitude. I only have these because I only focus on PvP and I'm at the end game. So please understand, this is not the optimal way to go for the challenge rift, but however, it is not a bad one. So the stats you want to go with, it is fortitude, willpower, and strength, the triple stat, which is also going to give you the highest combat rating. And more important also, you want to look for the substats that each of these items will give you. So for example, I have here block chance and damage taken. This is useless for me. Damage done increases to party member. This is useless to me, right? You want to go here, like for example, critical hit damage, primary attack, skill damage, skill cooldowns. Like you want to go damage done to damage. You want to go like with the high DPS substats if you want to keep pushing. Also, remember that these substats here only counts when it comes to the Helliquary raids and challenge rifts. And I know that a few people think that this is only for the raids, because where you farm them, it is inside the raids, but you also can get extra powerful inside the challenge rifts. So if we go again very quickly inside the challenge rift, you will see in the top corner of your character, you're gonna have like these icons, and if you click on it, you're gonna have like these extra buffs with you. So we have the weapon, the foot, the hand, the art, and the head, which is really, really good. So now, since we're speaking about these buffs, there is also one more buff that you can add to make you stronger inside the challenge rift. And I'm talking, of course, the Warband, which if you're still not in one, I can't keep phrasing that how important it is to be in an active Warband. Please get one. So you can change your room from Protector, which is usually the one that you're going to be running because you want to have the increased size in life. But when you're running raids or challenge rifts, you don't care about this. It's not about being fast, right? It is about doing damage. So you want to go with the damage done increased by 3.5%. This attacker room is going to give you like these insane remnants that you can farm in the purge. So look at this. Each time that I'm above 70% more life, I get 3% critical damage. It increases all damage done by 3% if I don't have enemies near me. I also have here increase 6% the damage I do. And one of the most OP ones is increase the critical hit damage by 10 every time you have the critical hit chance above 70%. This is very easy to calculate. Just go and check more or less what is your critical hit chance. Then if you have, for example, Mother's Lament and Rolling Consequence, this is going to be like super easy to cap. Or also getting the critical hit chance from your answers. For example, we have here the new helmet, which is going to give you 19% critical hit chance every time that I'm in Berserk. And since we are always in Berserk, it's like a free 20% plus the one with the weapons. And it's going to give me at this moment a 31%. Whenever the Mother's Lament gets triggered, it's going to give me what? It's only rank 5, so it's going to give like 20%. So right now I'm only at the 51 maximum. Unfortunately, I don't have Rolling Consequence, but if I had Rolling Consequence, will actually throw me above the 70%, which will be extremely good to get the bonus of 10% critical hit damage increase. But it is what it is. And sometimes life is not fair. We went to literally anything that you can do to keep ranking up. If I forgot something, please tell in the comments. I'm always willing to learn. Personally, I'm not like the biggest pusher ever. So this ends the whole checklist. If I miss anything, please tell me in the comments, but I think like this everything that you can actually go and do to keep progressing. But you also may be asking, okay, but I did all these things. Why am I actually doing challenge rifts? Well, it's very easy. The main reason why you're doing is for these cryptic crystals, which they are super useful because they are the material that's going to be able to keep ranking up your green sets. And these green sets, as you keep ranking up, you keep getting more CR. So overall, that's one of the main reasons why people do it. Also, it is a great source of XP, especially when you're leveling up. It's always gonna give you like half a level, sometimes one level. It's actually insane how much XP it gives. And it's gonna give you a lot of scraps, not only for the reward of beating the level, but also some weekly reward that you can actually go and get from being in the top of the rank. So rank 1 to 10 is going to receive 500 heals and 1k scrap. So when it comes to these whales, all they are interested is mainly on the heals. They're all level 30 on their gear, so this is like pretty much useless. Or just about status, because like, why not? And since we're talking about whales, there is a cheat code that you guys can also do, and is asking for the friend to boost you when it comes to the challenge rifts. So for example, I don't have enough CR to beat this. And no matter how much I try, I just can't beat this. And I really only needed these 80 crystals to go upgrade my piece from 19 to 20. It's not the case, but let's imagine that is. So I could go to my guild and do like, hey guys, can anyone boost me in Challenge Rift 388? So if someone was available, they were gonna get into a party and then they're gonna be able to clear the level for you. But there is a caveat. You're gonna get the rewards from the level. However, your leaderboard ranking is still gonna be the level that you beat the level by yourself. This is very, very important. This is a solo leaderboard, so every time you go into a party, it doesn't count. Personally, if I had to ask a whale to boost me, I'll always ask to boost me, for example, levels that finish in 5, because they're gonna give you 500. 0 or 5 is gonna give you 500. Anything in between is gonna give you 80. So have in mind that if you do all these tips correctly and you apply all these things and you are able to do this very, very fast, you're gonna not only be able to clearly fast, but also you'll be able to skip up to 10 levels now. This is a new change that came on a new patch. So for example, if I was like really, really fast at clearing 270, I could literally go and do a 10 level jump to 280. So this mainly happens when you're leveling up, because you're doing like the main quest and you're leveling up your Paragon like really fast, so your CR keeps getting up fast, and then you say, oh my god, I forgot about doing like challenge rift. It's been like a few days, right? So whenever you're gonna go to the challenge rift, everything is gonna be like super easy. So now they upgraded, like before it used to be skip up to 5, now it's skipping up to 10. So it is super, super good that you just are able to do it faster. And don't worry about the rewards. You're gonna receive the rewards in your mailbox. So in case you get scared, oh, where did it go? All the rewards, they're gonna be on your mail. And this is pretty much everything I have to say to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're still here, this is the secret call that I want you to put this timestamp on the comments, so I know that you're one of the legends that, you know, you guys just want to keep smashing in Diablo Immortal. And also, if this guide brought you any valuable at all, please consider subscribing. We are on a mission to overtake the Diablo Immortal channel in subscribers. I think that'll be a very accomplishment if we ever do that. I'm also just noticing that I need to upgrade the cover because we already almost at 2.2. But anyways, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.